All right, welcome to another book review. Today we're going to be doing Halfway to the Grave, a Night Huntress novel by Jeaniene Frost. Good luck. That one. Jeaniene Frost. Jeaniene, probably. That's not as fun, though. This cost $8.99 and $9.73 after tax. By HarperCollins Publisher, so this is traditionally published. It came out October 30th, 2007, so this is a 18-year-old book, and it's part of a 10-book series. And I'm excited because this appears to be a vampire novel, so 5 books into a 21-book review, and we get our first vampire novel. All right, so I read the book, and it was a struggle to read it. I put the book down probably like 7 times and had to like take breaks. I would have not finished the book if I wasn't doing a review. I bought the book on Tuesday, December 30th, and then it took me till the next following Tuesday to finish the book, and it's like 360 pages. I would keep taking breaks after every chapter, and it was not entertaining. And it was mainly for 4 reasons. 2 of them was not the author's fault, and 2 of them were. The biggest issue I probably had was descriptions and world building. Like, it was probably the worst I've ever read. I don't really want to go into many spoilers, but to give an example, the main male character drives a motorcycle. And I'm a motorcycle enthusiast. I ride a motorcycle. I'm like, cool, a motorcycle. I can relate to this guy. At no point was the motorcycle described at all. I have no idea what it looks like. I have no idea what its color is. I have no idea what kind of make and model it is. All it is described is it goes fast, and there's a motorcycle, and it's used as a prop to do things. But there's no description at all of how big it is, how small it is, what color it is. And that's a problem. So I would basically say that I was never once immersed in the book. I was never got into the book because the descriptions were so bare bone. And I'll go into the world building later and why I didn't like that, but it's more of a spoiler thing. His descriptions were it was just so horrible. Like, this is the closest thing I've seen to like a self-insert where you're supposed to like understand the concepts and ideas of what the author's talking about and doesn't go in description. It's very much a tell you, don't show kind of book. In fact, I can't really think of any point where it was a show don't tell. Like, it was basically telling you how to feel about things and telling you what happens instead of just describing what's going on. So one of the reasons that I didn't like the book is that I got triggered. I honestly didn't see this coming. I should have. And it now explains why I don't like vampires, or have always stayed away from vampires. So going into this book, I thought that, biting the neck, I like biting and stuff. But specifically when you bite into a vein, and that happens a few times. To give some context, when I was in the Marines, there was a corpsman that was trying to draw blood from me and blew a vein. I got blood everywhere on the arms, and I passed out. So every time I've ever had to draw blood from a vein or get an IV, I get very irate. I don't really pass out anymore. I used to, but I always have some kind of hyperventilation happening. So then I'm reading this book with these vampires like lovingly touching each other's veins, and it was so hard. And I didn't realize this at the time when I was reading it. This is more of like a couple days later. I was like, because I was like emotionally distraught with this book afterwards. I'm like, wow, I think I was really triggered. So yeah, that's not really a knock on the author. That's definitely a me thing. And yeah, I'm not a vampire. Definitely not a vampire kink, and probably going to stay away from vampire books because, like, I don't mind like when they just bite into each other and it's like, but when it's specifically the vein, that's what triggers me. Ugh. I said 4 things. I can't remember what the 4th one was. No, I'm sitting here thinking, I was like, I know I had two reasons. I don't remember the other one now. I should have written it down. Okay, anyways, so moving on. Also, I don't really think this is a romance book. There was a romance. It was between the main characters, but it wasn't really the points of the story. I don't think it was even a fantasy book. It felt like a superhero book. There was fantastical elements, but it was used in a way of like just giving them superpowers, like, and then exploring this whole blood sucking vein thing. Like, it was set in contemporary times, so like, yeah, it's just it didn't really feel like fantasy either. It just felt like a bunch of superheroes running around punching each other and shooting each other and stabbing each other. Like, you didn't, you could have replaced the vampires with any other thing. Like, you could have just taken the whole vampire thing out and the story still works. It just, yeah, I didn't really understand why the vampire was chosen. I didn't like any of the characters. They are all completely one-dimensional. Even the most interesting characters with all the side characters, and they had like at best a couple pages, or they're just killed off. And I couldn't believe any of it. Like, I just don't believe anyone acts like they do. It was always just taken to like an extreme of a stereotype, you know. What romance was in the book, it didn't feel earned at all. Like, it didn't feel like love. It didn't feel like yearning. It felt like just lust. Like, just like, I didn't understand why they liked each other at all, ever. I feel like the romance was detracting from the rest of the plot, and that's not a good thing. I wasn't looking forward to the plot either. It was kind of cookie cutter. It felt like a 90s action film. And there were so many chances for the characters to talk and relate and romance each other, and the author would just time skip to get back to the stabbing. Like, we had a plane flight to another country, like another state, with the two characters, and they literally just got out of some like emotional stuff that happened, and we could have spent that airplane flight talking about it, talking about their emotions and feelings and how they feel, but we just time skipped right to them getting back into the investigation. There were some interesting aspects to it that intrigued me. We'll talk about all those. But I would say I'd probably give this a 2-star review. I would have said most of the time I wanted to give it a 1-star review. I actively hated the book until, I mean, there was some saving graces, and we'll definitely talk about that. But for the majority of the book, it's just not a good experience for me. It had a 4-star spicy rating, and I don't understand why. Like, there was one graphic scene, and that's it. And then the other scenes with some blood sucking from the veins, but like, there was just one graphic scene, and then they just alluded to more spicy scenes that they were gonna. I don't understand why this got 4 out of 5. I gave it a 3 out of 5 on romance.io. That's what it feels like. So, like, the main event, which was half the book was erotica, it got a 4 out of 5, and it was way more graphic than this. Yeah, I don't know what's happened to the spicy rating. I don't even know what's happened to the rating system, because like, I don't know how this got a higher rating than the Terran Soul. Like, Terran Soul was so much better. So I don't believe the rating system anymore. Maybe I know that this is like a 10-book series, and maybe it gets better later on or something. But this book, it's not good. And the worst part was like at the end, the author goes into like the epilogue and shares, like, with the inspiration for the book. And I'm like, God, I wish that was the book. It was actually a great idea. I really liked the author sharing her love for this story, and it definitely feels like this book was ready to get to that book she wants to write. I wish she had written that book, and I'd read that book. It sounded like a great story. And okay, I remember now. The fourth reason that I didn't like the book was because the author left in at the end like a draft for this book that like upped the page count, but it was hidden from the page count. So I had to deal with this thing at the bottom of my Kindle. Page 88 out of 359 is not 20% Good sirs. That was so distracting. And like at the end of the book, it was like 80% complete. I'm like, I hate you. 359 out of 359, 80% complete. I'm like, I had to turn it off. I had to like push the button that said, this is how much time you have left instead of how many pages you have left. Cause I couldn't stop looking at the bottom, like, and doing the math in my head. I've discovered I have some OCD issues with some percentages. That's not the author's fault. Sort of. You could have not put the draft in. But I don't hold it against you. I did enjoy listening to the author talk about their love of writing and stuff. So that's honestly probably the best part of the book for me. So that's what I have to say about spoilers. I didn't like the book. I gave it a 2-star review. The world building descriptions were so bad. The characters were one-dimensional. It didn't feel like it was a romance book or a fantasy book. And I was just never immersed at any point in the book. And I actively had to read it to force myself to read it to get through it. I would have probably given it a 1.5 star review if it wasn't for the ending, which got unhinged and was kind of entertaining in more of an absurd way, not really any other way. It was just like, yeah, okay, this is all happening. At least this is interesting, I guess. But that's all I got to say. So from here on, there's spoilers, so be prepared. Okay, so let's go through the general plot summary, synopsis first before I start talking about what I feel about this. The general purpose of the book is that you have a woman that is just half vampire, half human, and is quite upset with vampires for raping her mom and giving birth to her. And then she spends from her 16th birthday to the 22nd birthday, where the book starts around the 22nd birthday. She goes to these bars and looks for vampires and murders them in the woods. She has some kind of special skill that she can tell when there's a vampire around. And then for some reason, all the vampires are just immediately attracted to her and not anyone else in the bar. And these vampires are quite powerful. They're very fast. They're very quick. They have heightened senses and smell and stuff like that. So the fact that the 16-year-old can take him out is actually an interesting part of the book, because there's this pop culture of vampires. Everyone doesn't believe vampires are real. So she has this wooden stake, or it looks like a wooden stake. And vampires have put out propaganda that wood is their weakness, but it's not. So when they see the wooden stake, they let their guard down, and then she actually has the actual weakness that they have, which is silver, inside the wooden stake, and she stakes them and kills them immediately. This is actually really fucking clever. I love this. I love this idea. After this, she's like just taking these vampires out to the woods and staking them, and that's very believable. I really like that part. And then our story starts, and that's where it just goes downhill. So she runs into a master vampire, and he's literally the first vampire she meets that turns her down, because all these vampires are just like jumping at the bit to be with her for whatever reason. And he's like, go away, I'm busy. And then she goes and takes her friend out to the woods and stakes her, and he like watches it and is like, oh, that happened. So he thinks that she's like some kind of agent looking for him. So he captures her and like tortures her to find out what happened. And she spills being that she's a half vampire. And that's what intrigued him, because like it's not possible to be a half vampire, because like once you become a vampire, you become dead and you start getting, fluids. So some of your little babies are dying off in a week. So the person that had sex with her mom to birth her had to have just turned like within a week and had this happen, because like apparently it's never been happened where it's half vampire, half human. How did she know that what is not their weakness? I don't know. Doesn't explain it. She just does. Maybe I missed that part. I remember she was talking about like her first vampire. She stabbed him with her necklace, which was silver. I guess she just assumed that was the weakness was silver. And she was right, I guess, because no one's telling her. It was not very well like described or explained. She's luring these people out to the woods and then staking them. But it's okay because, they're vampires and they raped my mom. So then she slithers over this idea that maybe all vampires aren't evil and she shouldn't just go and murder them in the woods before they commit a crime. And she's like, no, I'm just going to not ignore that. And I would love to read this story. This is a great story of this woman that's going around murdering these vampires that haven't committed any crimes yet, according to her. But, and she slowly realized that she's like a sociopath now. She's a serial killer now. Like, that's such a cool story where these like nerdy vampires that weren't going to hurt a soul or just wanted to have some sex or, just wanted to have some fun, just fucking murdered because they're vampires. And they're like, well, they attacked me. I'm like, you pulled the fucking stake out, girl. What are they going to do? It's self-defense. So I actually really like that idea for a story. I was rooting for this book until, whatever happened. All right, so we're introduced to the MMC, who is, he always wears black and he's blonde. And he reminds me of Resident Evil 4's main character. I can't remember the name of him off the top of my mind now. I think his name's Kris. And Kris Valentine, I think. And then he's a vampire hunter as well, but he's also a vampire. He's been staking out this master vampire guy that has been running some kind of sex trafficking in Meals Ring. Like vampires are purchasing women to eat. Like I don't know why they need to do it underground, but it definitely feels like a sex trafficking ring. So that's where we begin. He hires her to help him like break up this underground criminal ring of sex traffickers. And they start taking out one by one, like all his goons. And they take out like the people surrounding him and his operations and stuff. And they keep falling for this girl named Kat to in a bar. They lure her in with this girl. They just can't stay away from her. And that's how they capture and kill all these guys. Even the main master vampire comes into a bar and immediately attracts this girl, and that was their chance to kill him, but they didn't. And he gets away. He's a master vampire. So why didn't it work on the main male character? Why is he the one able to resist her? He's like, I'm a master vampire. I'm 200 years old. But we learned that doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if you're a master vampire. She's going to kill you anyways. And they have this whole banter of he keeps saying it's too dangerous, you can't go. But she's obviously been shown to be able to murder these vampires. That's one of the things I talk about is he keeps telling her about the danger, but we don't get to see the danger. In fact, anything that ever happens in the book, they're just immediately killed by the FMC and the MMC. There's no danger here. They try to raise these stakes with this sex trafficking ring, and there's people dying and stuff around them, but I never felt like they were in danger at all. Keep saying you'll know what happens if Hennessy gets a hold of you. No, I don't know what's going to happen if Hennessy gets a hold of us. Can you tell us? Can you describe what's going to happen if Hennessy is going to? Because he doesn't feel like a badass. He feels like some low level mob guy that got lucky. And then he's they talk about he's been a master vampire, so he's powerful. He gets immediately staked by the FMC at the end. What is the difference between a regular vampire and a master vampire? Because there's no distinction at all by the people they run into. They're he survived 5 more seconds than the other vampires. So they're trying to raise the stakes with the sex trafficking thing, but I didn't feel like there was any stakes at all. It's just they were just able to easily handle anything that was thrown their way. The one time was when she got her drink drugged by these 2 dudes at a bar, and that's the only reason that Hennessy got away. Got lucky there. And then you're at college, and there's these women that are looking for other college girls to be sex trafficked and stuff, and they just immediately murder her. And that's what starts us into the whole sex trafficking thing, is that we find the person that finds the girls and ships them off. And then she's dead. And they kill her. And at the end, then the government arrives and it's like, oh, there's proof of vampires. Like, I don't believe for a second that the government doesn't know about vampires. Like, you literally have corrupt politicians helping the vampires with the sex trafficking ring. And so, like, the FBI doesn't know about vampires now. Like, you now have proof of from dead bodies in front of you showing you that they're vampires. Like, oh, now the government's getting involved. They're like, they want to start a special vampire unit with the female main character because she's half vampire and she's been proven that she can kill a bunch of vampires. Like, I don't believe any of that. I don't believe the government would do that at all. In fact, I think the government would just capture her and study her. Like, oh, vampires' blood can heal you. The government might want to get in on that, you know. So there's a lot of, at the end where it just becomes completely unhinged. Like, she just goes around just murders all these vampires. Like, we've building up this idea that she's in danger, that she's not going to be able to handle these master vampires. She just takes the fuck out of all of them. And I'm like, that was at least cool to read. I didn't believe it. I was not immersed. I'm like, what is happening? It was just so absurd. Yeah, the government doesn't act like that. They would just capture her and study her themselves. They would like just keep her drugged all the time. And they would use her blood to heal people or figure out how to synthesize it and then probably kill her. And my God, this world sucks. Everyone she runs into is like so evil. There's no good people in this book at all. There's no one I'm rooting for at all. It's so dark. And like, this is the first time I'm like, oh, I understand what dark fantasy means now. Because you have this idea of her going around murdering these innocent vampires and stuff. And the main male character is like, well, not all vampires are bad. Well, can we see some of the not bad vampires? Because we don't in this book. They're all asshole rapists. Sex trafficking assholes. And you're rooting for them to die, and they die. But like she's justified now. She's justified that all vampires are bad, which is stupid because she, at the end of the book's like, well, not all vampires are bad. Like, what are you talking about? I'm with you now, girl. All the vampires are bad. Which one's good? Because the main male character is an asshole too. Like, show me the good vampire. What, Spade? We got to see him for like a paragraph. Like, if you're gonna have this idea of her like coming around to this not all vampires bag, and I'm not a bigot anymore, you got to show us some good vampires. And all of them just suck. And my God, there's this one that was awesome. There was this Spanish vampire that was super sexy and like was an ex of the MMC. So there's this jealousy. There's this possessiveness and stuff. And it was a fun scene where we actually had some dramatic tension. And then she's killed off immediately, like the next chapter. It was like, like the author was like, I wrote this person to be like a foil to, get some dramatic tension. You know what? I don't like that. I'm jealous, so I'm going to kill her. My dramatic tension, please. I want something, because like every single person they meet and stuff they're all dead. They just get killed. You have these interesting side characters that she's introducing, and they're just being all killed off. Can we kill off the main characters and go with the side characters? Because they were interesting. And the MMC are falling in love during all this time, and there's some smudge, which is nice. So, and that's your general synopsis of how I felt during the book. All right, let's talk about our FMC and MMC. So the FMC is a little bit more interesting than the MMC by default because we spend more time with her from the writing. She's still like one-dimensional. She doesn't have any character growth besides this whole bigot thing, but it doesn't feel earned because we start at the beginning of the book with her just like hunting or luring vampires out into the woods to murder them. And at the end of the book, she's like, what's changed about her? She's owning her vampireness. That's about it. She's fallen in love with the MMC. And she doesn't even know why she's in love. There's no description. There's no explanation of why she's in love with the MMC. She just does. I give her a pass because she is 22 years old. And when I was 22, I couldn't tell you why I was in love with someone. But the MMC is 200 years old. He's had past relationships. He should know a little bit more about why he's in love. He says multiple times, I'm so in love with you so much that I can't even describe it. Can you please describe it just a little? What about her is alluring to you? Because you're the only vampire that immediately told her to like go away in the beginning of the book. So clearly that attraction wasn't there at that time. So when did it happen? What part did it happen? You're just in love with her. It's like this really bad wish fulfillment. Like, I have this insanely hot dude and he's just in love with me. Like, I don't even know myself, so I couldn't tell you why he was in love with me. Like, you have to give me something. Like, all it feels like is lust. It feels like they just are around each other and they develop feelings to each other just because they're a man and a woman and they're horny. That's what it felt like the whole time. Like, I did not like their relationship at all. Like, if I want lust, I'll go watch some porn, man. There was these really cool aspects to the vampires that the MMC would talk about, like this idea of a hierarchy. Like they all have to be assigned to a master vampire. Why? Is it like an OCD thing? Like, is it an honor code thing? Is it magic? We don't know. There's no description. There's just like, they just talk about like there's this hierarchy of vampires and they have to be protected. Do the vampires know if someone's not in the hierarchy? Is it like a scent thing? Is it hormones? Is it magic? Like how do they know they're not in a hierarchy? I have so many questions and the author doesn't have any answers for me. That's what I'm talking about when I was like saying like the world building is so bad. Like they have these really interesting ideas that could have really built out this world, but we don't go into it at all. It's like it's just glazed over, or maybe it's assumed that you know this lore about vampires that I don't know anything about vampires besides they're broody and want to suck blood and live in coffins. Dracula and Twilight's like the only vampire stuff I ever checked out. They live in sewers, like an underworld. So, like, I want to explore this lore of vampires and, like, this hierarchy. How does this hierarchy work? I don't know. In fact, how do vampires at all work? I don't know. It's like, why is their blood heal? What does it do? Is it just magic? Like, yeah, because he's healing people with his blood, but, like, I don't understand how it works. Like, what does it mean when they're dead? Because they talk about them being dead. They don't have a heartbeat. Okay, like, how does this work? How does this work? I don't know. How do they have blood if they're dead? Then they introduce like this ghoul, and they're like, the only thing about the ghoul is like, oh, he eats people. Like, is that not what vampires did? I thought vampires did that. Do werewolves eat people? Are werewolves ghouls? What is a ghoul? So they have this ghoul. He has like a macabre sense of humor. That's all we know about this ghoul and what a ghoul is. The ghost was actually the most coolest thing. He was like a little pervert, and he like went through her clothes and checked her out. I'm like, that's so cool. I mean, it's not cool, but like, it's interesting. It's like something I would do if I were a ghost and I was immortal. Like if you're just stuck in this area and this hot girl comes up, check it out. You know, I've been here 100 years. And then like the ghost is like demanding her to drink this moonshine so that he can experience her experience in the moonshine. That sounded so cool. Like he can experience her emotions. Why is it specifically alcohol? What about other stuff? Can he experience like sex? Can he experience love, emotions? Is it just alcohol? We don't know. There's no description. This world building is it's like just this giant tease. And like, so if we're not doing world building, what are we doing? We're like doing this 90s action thing where we're just stabbing vampires and investigating. And like, it's just the MMC is just so one-dimensional. He's just, he's in love with her. That's it. He's in love with her. He's possessive of her. He's a jealous asshole. And that's it. He's a master vampire, but we haven't shown how a master vampire is any different from any other vampire. Besides this hierarchy thing that is not explained. He tells her, he's like, oh, you need to dress better. I mean, why are we dressing her better? It's working. Whatever she's doing was working. And she like agrees with him. And that's the worst part is like she goes to the salon for 5 hours and she gets a makeover and she comes in and she looks at the mirror and she's like, this isn't me. What isn't you? How is it not you? I don't know how it's not you. Was it the nails? Was it the hair? Was it the eyes? What part of it did you not like? Because you didn't describe anything about what you just said. No, I don't like this. Like, can you tell me what you didn't like about it? Like, can you immerse me a little bit in your world? Why are vampires lured to her? We don't know. She just has a vibe, not explained. And it's just like, oh yeah, we gotta change your outfit and look, even though it's working. Like I don't believe these characters. They just are not acting any kind of rational at all. I don't understand the motivations for these characters to be like this. I don't know why he's jealous. I don't know why he's in love with her. I don't know why he's possessive of her. I don't know why he thinks that he needs to change how it works when she's already murdered like 16 vampires. Like it's very frustrating. She goes to college. The FMC goes to college. What college? I don't know. It's in Ohio. Don't you know what Ohio is? No, I don't know what Ohio is. I know it's a state. I know there's Columbus in there. I know Cleveland's there. I don't know anything about Ohio. You're not going to make me get a map out. It's not happening. So can we just like describe Ohio? What part of Ohio are we in? What college in Ohio are we going to? She talks about how she's in a town that is like a mom and pop town. Everyone knows her business, but then she's in these super awesome clubs that vampires go to. Like, what mom and pop town is that? Then she goes to a famous college, but we don't know which college. We don't even know what she's studying there. She talks about going to classes, but the only one she talked about is physics. Hey, I took physics. I was sort of engineering before I changed to accounting. I know something about that. Like, I would like to be immersed. I have no idea what you're studying. I have no idea what you're trying to be. Like, what are you going to college for? The only 2 people she meets in college is her neighbor who immediately loves her and wants to date her and is like this really scared person so that he's literally in the book so that the MMC can be a jealous asshole. That's it. And then the only other person she meets is the sex trafficker girl that's trying to recruit her into the sex trafficking ring. Like, I don't see anything else in the college. She just goes to college. Like, I wish I could relate to you. I want to know more about this college so I can, I went to college. I could relate to that. But there's no descriptions for it. And I'm sad. She has an apartment. What's in the apartment? I would assume a fridge. The only thing that's described is a bed. That's it. She describes that there's no furniture in the house, so it's completely barren. Okay, can we have some descriptions? They cleaned for 3 hours. How was it dirty? Was there mold in the corner? Was there black mold in the corner? Did it smell? Was there dirt? Was there graffiti on the wall? There's so many opportunities for descriptions. I'm yearning for descriptions, please. Give me something in my novel. I need to know what color it is. I need to know the smell. I need to know how big it is. Anything at all, please. And then like he furnishes the apartment. She says he gifts her furnishings and furniture in the apartment, but what did he give her? Like, I guess there was a couch now? Like, the mom comes in and describes the fridge as bare and there's no food. And she's like, when are you going to go to the grocery store? Like, that's a description, I guess. Yeah, it's described as empty. So we get these concepts of classes and motorcycles and like college, but there's no description here, and there's no immersion. There's no way for me to be immersed in it. I can't feel any of it because it's not described at all. We're just told she goes to classes. I want to be shown, I don't want to be told. I could never be immersed at any point in this book. Like, it was just the descriptions were just so bad. And they drink blood every once in a while. It says it sustains them. It's required to sustain them. How and why? Why do they need blood? Like, they're dead. They don't have a beating heart. Why do they need blood? I don't understand. Because like the vampire knowledge I know, they still have beating hearts and have blood running through their veins and stuff. But like they use it more of they're like parasites. These don't feel like parasites in this book. They feel like they have to do it to sustain themselves and they like live in society like normal, and they don't really need that much. Why? Is it magic? What is it about blood? I know why humans need blood, and it has oxygen and it feeds their cells. It's like basic biology. So I don't know the biology of vampires, and I wish we would go into it. It's just like the author assumes you know what the concept of a vampire is. I'm really desperate for this whole baited arc thing. I really wish she would like learn how vampires are not bad, and she's just been murdering innocent people this whole time. God, that would have been such a great book. Not there's like none of these vampires are good people. And then like the FMC is a half vampire, half human. So we have this cool area where like they kind of like get really detailed and technical about the powers and strengths and weaknesses of vampires. And it's like, okay, cool. So like the MMC is quizzing her to find out what, since she's a half vampire, he doesn't know about half vampires. He's going to find out, what her strengths and weaknesses are. And this was such an opportunity to have like not just your cookie cutter vampire. You could like pick and choose your strengths and weaknesses and stuff. But no, it's literally just half of everything. Like half the ability to see, half the smell, half the strength, half the weaknesses. Like silver doesn't affect her as much as a normal vampire. It was so lazy. Just half of everything? What? Come on. This was our chance to have a badass vampire that just breaks molds. I mean, FMC was snarky and had some witty things to say. I did enjoy the wit of that. The banter between the MMC is just, the MMC is British and says wacky British things. And he calls her kitten all the time. I'm just like, I wanted to punch him in the face for saying kitten all the time. So I did like, there was like some zingers and one-liners and stuff like, oh wow, this place is a great place for a massacre. Like there was some entertaining like internal thoughts the FMC had. The smut wasn't bad. Like I was turned on during the first one. And the second one, she spends like half the book being like, oh, I don't want anyone to ever suck my blood. And she's like, suck my blood. And like she feels really good during it, which I guess makes sense if you're some kind of predator and stuff. You want them to be docile while you're sucking the blood and they're enjoying it. That sounds interesting, And then, but I couldn't do it. I was just like, because she's talk about the vein stuff, and I was just getting triggered and emotionally distraught from like these flashbacks of me bursting a vein, and then she does it to him. It's y'all can have your vampires. I'll sit over here with my werewolves. You can keep all of that to yourselves. Now I'm like remembering past girlfriends like tracing my veins on my arm, like, you have such good veins. And I'm like, oh man. I don't believe she can rival master vampires after 5 weeks of intense training. Like they talk the entire time. They're just talking about how these master vampires are gonna kill her. And she just takes them like no problem. Yeah, I'm not immersed at all. I don't believe anything that's happening. She's somewhat relatable. She's doing human things. I'm sure that's why she's going to college and stuff. It's like I could possibly relate to that if we just described her being a human more often. Both of these characters are just extremely generic, and I was not impressed. All right, so we have the antagonist, which is this master vampire named Hennessy is running a criminal underground sex trafficking ring. We don't get to see any of it. Like I already said it many times, but like we get told that it's a bad thing what he's doing, but we don't see any part of it. She immediately just goes and breaks it all up. Like he knows he's being tracked by the MMC named Bones, and he's going to bars and hanging out. Like he doesn't think he's in danger at all. And then like he doesn't think he's in danger, so he captures the FMC's mom and then lures the two to his house with 25 vampires, and is like, yeah, I'm gonna take these two down. Which I mean I agree with him. I probably would have thought the same, but no, they weren't in danger. They just murdered all the vampires. Just going around just throwing silver knives and slashing them. And like they know that the FMC is dangerous, has been alluring vampires, but they still underestimate her. Like I don't believe you. I don't think vampires would be laughing at her at this point. They know her. They know what she's capable of. They're not underestimating her. But they do. Whatever. Got to be one of the sloppiest criminal organizations I've ever seen, that where all the men can just be lured by this person in a bar immediately. It's just so. And then like every time the FMC and MMC do detective work and can't make any headway into finding the next person, someone shows up and gives them a clue. Like, I wish we could have seen the investigation part. What did you do to go and find the next person? Like, show me the library, show me the banter, show me watching videotapes, going through newspapers. Like, I want to see this part of it. It's really killing a vampire, and then the next thing is like, we're at the bar waiting for the next person, and then she tells you like, oh yeah, we spent 2 weeks investigating, now we're the next person. Like, I want to see the banter. I want to see them two fall in love with each other as they investigate. Like, don't you? Am I alone here? I don't want to see an action flick. I'm not reading romance novels to see all this action. I could read a normal fantasy novel for this. I want to see the romance. I want to see them falling in love, because I don't believe it. They just feel like two horny teenagers the entire book. Yeah, this master vampire named Hennessy is this criminal organization. Is being funded by the government, who wants to clean up the dregs of society. Yeah, you're evil when you start talking about people like that. So you're rooting for her to like kill them all. There's definitely that, but like, just didn't feel like how a criminal organization would run. They would not be so sloppy, and the government official wouldn't immediately admit to everything because he thinks he's going to kill her. Like, there's so many monologuing things happening here. Like, what are you doing? Kill her. You have her in front of you. Just stab her and kill her and get rid of her, instead of letting her wait it out and kill you. Like, it just why? Why am I reading this? All right, plot. Plot on paper honestly isn't a bad idea. It is definitely just execution. Like, show us the investigation. Show us you breaking down this criminal organization and stalking your prey and like discovering it. Because the only way they were finding is they sit in a bar and some dumbass vampire that's part of the crew comes up to them. They capture him. They start breaking his bones, and they're like, "I'll never tell you anything." And then they break a hand. He's like, "All right, here's everything." Then they kill him. Like, it just feels like some kind of like 90s buddy cop film. There just happen to be vampires. You could take the entire vampire thing out, and the plot doesn't change. The government coming in at the end kind of threw me for a loop. It was interesting and absurd, and not something I would ever believe the government would ever do. I just don't really have much good to say about it. So final thoughts. Like, I ragged on a lot. Let's talk about like what's actually good about this. Like, you have these ideas that were glanced over of her being a bigoted person killing the vampires. You have the interesting side characters, the ghosts and the Spanish vampire that was the ex of the MMC. You have this guy that is, he just gets called and he collects these cars and bodies from the MMC, like this disposer. That doesn't ask questions. Like, I want to know about his life. You have a ghoul that's a macabre and has his sick sense of humor, and I just want to know more about the ghouls. And there was this part at the end. The mom gets captured by the villain, and they're in the hospital now, and they're recovering. And like, they just went through all this traumatic shit. She just watched her daughter just murder like 25 vampires. And what does the mom care about? Oh, you're fucking a vampire? I just lost it at that part. I'm like, oh my God. Of course the mom would care about that and only that. So I thought that was funny. There was no character arcs or growth with any of these characters. The MMC is like in love with her at the beginning and doesn't change. The FMC, like, the only character arc is her like owning that she's a vampire, accepting it, and not hating herself for it, which is good. I just wish we had some other growth too, not just that. I love the author talking about her dream of writing at the end. Like, I was rooting for her, and I wish the book that she described as her dream was the actual book that I had read. And definitely felt like the book was supposed to be getting to that. In fact, I think that's what the author said, is that she didn't write that book. It was like third or fourth book or something. Almost made me feel bad about not liking the book. And then I remembered what I read, and I was like, nope, I definitely don't like it. So thank you, author, for the book. Hope you enjoy my coffee money. I do love your passion for and how you talk about the book. Please don't stop writing. I really hope it gets better in the series. I waited 5 days after I wrote the outline of my review to make sure that I wasn't being emotional and that I actually didn't like the book. But when I took the time to read the other reviews, and it seems like this was probably the worst book in the series, so I hope it does get better. I won't be returning to the series, though. Even if I did like the book, I wouldn't be returning because I'm not into veins being sucked on. That is for sure. So I will see y'all in the next one.